All right, welcome. Today, I'm very excited to have probably one of the best known coaches in Beaver County for tennis. Believe it or not, uh, we've been talking for like the last hour, even right now, off camera. And Barry, I guess really the reason I wanted to have you here is you did something that not too many other people have done. You've not raised one amazing daughter in tennis, but you've raised three, and it couldn't have been easy. I'm sure it wasn't easy for them either.
Oh no, no, it was not easy for them. That's a good point to start with. Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to talk about how you pulled this off because I know tennis is a sport that unfortunately we see a lot of very wealthy families
hmm
thrive at.
hmm
Um, it doesn't need to be that way, uh, but it's hard to do without the dollar.
hmm
And having three kids come up through, and I know that you had the money tree in the backyard, right?
Yeah, I have that. Yeah, still
Yeah.
there. hmm Yeah,
So, and I know you weren't even a tennis player yourself originally,
that-
but you definitely must have seen something and you decided I'm going to figure this sport out just like I figured out golf.
okay.
So, tell me about your three daughters and let's try to let's stay in order. Let's start with the test child that we all have, the first one.
Okay.
Okay? Tell me a little about your first daughter.
Okay. Well, first of all, I did play tennis. I just didn't play it. We in those days, like you said, many schools, like the Mount Lebanons, the bigger schools, and those who were a bit well off, were the schools that had tennis. My brother-in-law actually played for Wilkinsburg High School, which is interesting, and he told me some of his scores, which weren't good. Beth Beth went to Wilkinsburg schools and then went to Grove City.
Beth is your
My
wife.
wife, I'm sorry, and they did not have a team as well. So when we were talking, we coach tennis in Geneva now, and we were talking to the team, and they said, "Well, tell us about your teams growing up." And we said, "Well, nobody had teams. I
Mhm.
graduated with 300 students in my graduating class, and we had wrestling and we had all kinds of sports, but people didn't have tennis." Um, uh, and so that was just more of a recreational thing, maybe playing a tournament, that kind of thing. And then, but then Beth and I met. We got married. We played tennis where we would live all the time. We first came to Beaver County. We lived in the Midlands, so we played in the Midland courts with a chain fence. I don't know if you ever played on those. That was interesting. And then we would go over to Shippingport, which had a little playground there. And then when we had Nikki, who was our firstborn, she would play there. Beth would feed her, and we would go, and she would either sleep or play a little bit, and we would get to play a little bit of tennis. And then finally, we uh, moved.
Just the two of you? Did you play with
Oh,
couples
we
or?
play no, not normally with couples because you never knew that baby was going to cry,
Okay.
and so we would just get a workout as best we could. And boy, if we could get a half hour, 45 minutes, that was great. An hour would be heaven. But we loved playing. Beth has always loved tennis.
That's great.
And then when Nikki was little and started to carry, we have pictures of her carrying that wooden racket around, and she would start hitting, and then there was a wall at different places, and she would start hitting against the wall, and she loved sports and played all the sports, and then we started to just she would want to come on the court and hit, and so we started hitting with her, and then there was a program in Beaver run by Riley Baker, who was the most well-known coach
Yes.
ever,
Yes.
um, and he ran a summer program, and so Nikki got in that summer program. We were members of the local the pool, and we would take her to tennis in the morning, go to the pool, have the lunch special. If I can remember what the lunch special was, something for $1.25, a little overpriced, but we ate it anyway. And but got to play every day. That was
Yeah.
5 days a week, and she took to it, and then just started to play, and we went from there.
But you just didn't go from there. I
Mhm.
mean, Nikki was an above average player. I mean, very good player. I
Mhm.
mean, she wasn't like just some you had to see something
Mhm.
and she had to want something. I
Mhm.
mean, she went on to play Division 1.
Mhm.
Um, she still hits to this day, you're
Mhm.
saying.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
But like what was a typical week when before you got into high school, before you hit that ninth grade? How often were you and Nikki out there training, playing? What were you doing?
We were playing pretty much every day. And then we were at clinics at Brady's Run here in Beaver County, and um, she would be in clinics with some of the older kids. I always tried to get her with people that were good. And she just took to it, and she got interested in tennis, and she started reading about tennis, and she started talking about tennis, and she knew all the players at the time.
So she took her own interest into things.
Yeah. And she just went there. We were leading her in softball and basketball and all these other things. And she just and she went towards tennis, and we decided to go that direction. And like you said, that, then we started doing the tournaments. And that's a tough thing. And that's a tough thing because you're in the first round, you're playing somebody who's training at IMG Academy down in Florida. They came up to play to see their parents. Um, I just checked at IMG for some people how much it is a year. I think it's 150,000 a year to go to school there, to train there. So you're dealing with that. That playing in tournaments with those kind of people, especially if you play in not just a local tournament, but like a national tournament. And she did show the promise, and she did show, and then the support of all the people in Beaver County. She met she met somebody named Greg Peluso who started to hit with her, and you really hit with her and our middle daughter Christy uh, so much. Um, I'm sure I paid you. I think I paid you for the time. But anyway, and then Ron Rojas was helping at
Yeah. I know Ronnie probably played the most with the girls.
Yep. And I don't think he has a job. He must just play tennis, I think. But anyway, Ron hit a lot. So we had Riley's clinic. We were able to hit with her as she got better and better and better, to be able to hit with you, a Division I player, Ron, who was a great player, and other people. Sorry, I'm missing some, but
Well, you got her outside of Beaver County a
yeah,
bit too.
yeah.
What were some of those experiences?
Those were good experiences. They were tough experiences.
I'm sure they were.
When you lose, I can remember our youngest Kimmy's first tournament was at the old YMCA in Robinson,
Hmm.
and I can remember saying she's going to be fine. She's playing this girl who's so good, and Kimmy lost, and she shook hands, and she turned around, and she burst into tears and ran to us, And I'm thinking, oh my goodness. And those are tough. And when we talk to kids now who are in high school and who are taking that step from just hitting in the off season, playing high school matches, and now going to that next step of playing tournaments. And that's where the recruits are. The recruits don't come, you don't see recruits at high school matches.
No.
It's almost any sport anymore, except for maybe football. You don't see them in basketball. They are going to all the others, AAU,
The
or,
AAU stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Pay to
and
play.
for
Yeah.
tennis, it's a USTA. And you don't really see them though. You see them at the tournaments, and that's where you're going to get recruited. But they're not easy, and so you can go. I can't remember which one, but it took one of our daughters a year to get that first win.
Hmm.
I mean, just going, it meant
Yes.
then paying for a hotel. It meant food. Um, uh, Hopefully getting a couple matches, win or lose. You hope that you can get at least another match in the consolation round. Those are really tough things. And we're just very fortunate in Beaver County. I think of all the kids in the past couple of years. We recruited a girl named Ella, you may know her, your daughter, who didn't come to Geneva to play for us, but we had some of her friends who have played college, like Jules from Blackhawk and Grace from Beaver and Andrew. We have others going this year, Aiden from Blackhawk. So we have a number of kids going to play college tennis now. And I just read that in high school sports, if you put all the athletes in the United States and all the sports, 8% of high school athletes go on to play college. And that's Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA, 8%. And then they break them down into individual sports. And tennis is just over 1%. So
Wow.
you think about kids, and we're just very fortunate. We have a number who just finished. Sarah Small from Beaver, also, I think, just people who have finished college sports, whether it's Division III, Division I, doesn't matter. They're in a 1% group of high school students who play tennis who go on to play to the next level.
Yeah. And yeah, what's even funnier if you really even think about it, even in college, like if you take division, let's just take Division One.
Mhm.
What percentage of the world do you think they fall in?
Mm.
They, I'm gonna say, college players are probably top 10% in the world.
Mhm.
I mean, it's crazy because
Mhm. Yeah.
but because tennis is a sport that you have to train to play. I mean, you train for years and years before you even actually really start playing because there is strokes are so complicated for some people.
Mhm.
And then once you even have the strokes, that's nothing to do with the strategy.
Mhm.
And then you start mixing the strategy and the strokes, and some people never even get there.
Yeah.
Some people their strategy is hit the ball in.
Yeah.
And that's as far as they get. And that really does take you pretty far in the sport. But when you see that big jump that we're talking about in
Mhm.
college.
Mhm.
Um, but let's get back to your first,
Okay.
because I know you're talking about going to those tournaments, but you didn't know anything about those tournaments then.
No, didn't know anything about him because we weren't, you know, growing up in Western Pennsylvania, dad's a mill worker. We didn't have anything near that.
No.
And so that was, we just, I mean, we just got direction from certain people. This is what you need to do. If you want to get them to this level, you're going to have to get to this. And
Yeah.
we did it the best we could. Um, just getting them there. Like I said, it was, I have to go away for a weekend so she can play in this. We have to travel. We have to pay for it. Tournaments, have a cost plus lodging and food. And so that was, but we saw the benefits of that. She was able to go to University of Pittsburgh. George Diefenbach was her coach, great guy. And his birthday is actually tomorrow. And I can remember just him coming. She was playing in the state championship match, which was her senior year. Uh, and George was there with some other coaches, and just how excited we were when she made that choice that we were going to be able to see her rather than go down south and play or anything like that. So, and then we got to follow her and playing in Pitt for the 4 years, and then after she finished, George asked her to be an assistant coach, which was nice because then she recruited her, our middle daughter, Christy,
Right.
who was being recruited at some very nice schools, and she's a great athlete. Uh, Excuse me for saying that, but punt, pass, and kick, basketball player. By the time she was a junior and senior, she went totally into tennis for the benefit of finding that scholarship,
Yeah.
to play Division I tennis. And then Nikki, it was hard to say no to your sister who's coaching at Pitt, and so Chrissy said yes. Did not think she was going to go to Pitt, and she said yes to Pitt. And then she played her 4 years, and Beth reminded me not to brag while I'm talking to you here, but she's the all-time leading winner at Pitt. And then Nikki left there to be the head pro at the Pittsburgh Golf Club, and they had an opening for a coach after that year. And
Hmm.
Christy went in, and then she got to recruit this person named Kimmy, her sister.
Hmm.
And so it was. I have pictures of them as players, as coaches, coaching the next sister, coaching the next sister.
Yeah. I mean, I really think Nikki did pave the way.
Yeah. Oh,
Nikki paved the way for Christy,
mhm,
your second child.
mhm.
And I that's why I guess we're I- maybe I'm trying to steer you in this
Okay, go ahead.
conversation. I shouldn't be, but I, from the outside, it's just like, would the results have been different if Nikki or if the girls were in a different order you had them? W- Really, would it have worked the same way? I don't think so. I
Yeah.
think whatever happened was meant to be, and it worked beautifully for all three of them because let's face it, our first kid, we don't know what the heck we're doing.
Mhm,
They're our experimental child.
mhm,
And even with tennis, figuring everything out,
mhm.
by the time you had Christy come along, Christy's a great little athlete.
Mhm.
You already understood the tournaments a little
Yeah,
bit.
you're right. Yeah.
You already had a built-in hitting partner with her.
Mhm,
You knew what the level she needed to be at.
mhm,
And it looks like you guys really took off
mhm. Yeah.
with Kimmy. I mean, still to this day, I see Kimmy making these besides these cute video she makes with her daughter.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
these videos,
Yeah.
Christy making hitting all these things up
Yeah.
and things around
Yeah.
it, you know,
Tweeners, doing tweeners.
tweeners, hitting serves, all
Yeah.
sorts of
Yeah.
things. So
Yeah. She still does that. Yeah.
so when Christy got into college,
Mhm.
did your daughter Nikki is the coach,
Mhm. Assistant coach to George. Yeah.
assistant coach to George,
Mhm.
and you have your second daughter playing on the team.
Mhm. And I thought it went real well. When I would see them, I'd see Nikki kneeling to her and saying, "Come on, you can win this match." And actually, I think they were yelling at each other. We find out
Really?
later. Yeah, that's what they said. They said, "Shut up, Nikki." You know, that's what I'm guessing happened. I'm
I
guessing that
can't
happened.
believe that.
I don't know. They say that, but you're talking about the influence of Nikki, and it's funny as when we get together, when the three of them get together, I hear the stories. Like, for instance, when Nikki was in high school, using the tanning booths was real big for the pro. And so she would go and she'd say, "I'm going to take Kimmy and let Kimmy sit with me." And of course, Kimmy would get in with her, you know, and they would
That's your
tell her,
third daughter.
"Yeah, that's the youngest one, the little one."
Yes.
And she's coming back with a tan, and I didn't realize it. But it's funny how Kimmy learned so much from Nikki because of being the oldest. And they still, I think, still look to her and say, "Nikki, what are we going to do? What are we going to buy Dad for his birthday? Or what are we going to buy Mom for the anniversary?" And I think they still look at her, and she gives good, I think, except for getting a tanning booth, she gives pretty good direction.
Nikki's a good big sister.
Yeah.
She is. She's a good big sister. Well, Christy, obviously, and I know this is a question that's always asked to you,
Mhm.
that like, who was better?
Mhm.
But I think they're just different.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
results are results, but I mean, they were in different environments. So that's almost not a fair question.
Yeah. And they played in different conferences.
Yes,
They played in the
it's
Big East, which at that time was a great conference
it,
with Louisville and Notre Dame and all that group and Syracuse. And then they went into the ACC, which was really
yeah,
tough.
yeah.
And I was telling some of the guys on the team about the ACC conference. I said,
Why did that happen? Do you know?
I think for other sports, that
Okay,
kind of thing. And it was kind of the end because Pitt doesn't have a tennis team,
I know.
men or women, just like Robert Morris,
Yeah,
like you. And I think that was the end of it because of the being uh, Pitt does not have the room ready for all the things you need for the ACC. The ACC conference um, demands that you have a chair umpire on every court,
hmm
those kind of things, and have courts on campus and that kind of thing. But I can remember one time going to Oxford to watch a Pitt match after the year after Kimmy graduated. So our girls are already out of college, and I'm watching Duke. Now they're in the ACC, so Duke versus Pitt. I'm watching all these guys that know tennis, and they're watching the number 4 player at Duke. And I said, "This number 1 player over here for Duke is amazing." I said, "Why are you watching number 4?" They said, "Well, she's a freshman and she qualified for the Australian Open in January and she lost in the first round, but she did make it through the qualies to play she played number 4 at Duke." It's
that's
just
incredible.
amazing. So that's what you're doing. You're dealing with people who are international players. And even today, as we're finding in Division 3, which is non-scholarship for athletics. We're playing teams where uh, everyone on the team is an international student.
Yep,
They're coming in
yep.
from different countries and playing tennis at schools that are not giving athletic scholarships. It's just it is so tough to get in. So we're very proud of Beaver County, not only our girls but also the guys and the girls who have made it to play any division. You're talking about 1% of the United States
It's
of
crazy.
those who play tennis
It's
go
crazy.
on playing. We've had a great number, so we need to be very
We should be
our
proud.
kids.
We should be proud. We
Yeah,
should be proud.
yeah.
So Kimmy, your youngest, this was the end. This was your last coaching
Hmm.
hurrah with your.
Hmm.
What was like that compared to the other two?
Well, I made a lot of mistakes with the other two. But I think with Kimmy, uh, I thought it was pretty fun and easy. Um, I made a good decision of staying away from her court because when parents say, uh, "Nice shot," or "Oh, that was good," and they're not hearing that. They're hearing, "What are you doing?" You know. So would always stay away, a couple courts away, and then I just really tried to, on the last one, just to enjoy it as much as I could. I was tough on them in practice, but I thought I was good with them during matches because matches were their thing to enjoy.
What do you, I mean, not to get too deep, but like what mistakes do you think you made with the other two that you were correcting?
Yeah, I think just being tough on them, just saying, listen, we're coming from this background. If you're going to compete with this, you got to go more, 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 more. And being a coach, I mean, I was at Western Beaver. I coached football and basketball and softball, and yeah, I was cheerleading sponsor for 4 years for heaven's sake. And you're laughing at me, by the way. But
What do you know about cheerleading?
nothing. But they needed one.
All
They
right,
needed one.
that's why I'm laughing
I
because
was
I just
coaching.
can't imagine
I was
what you
coaching.
know about it.
For you and Beaver County, I was coaching
I mean, if you're going to
football
tell
and
me a story
basketball.
about how you and Beth used to do peer,
No,
you know,
no, we didn't do
okay,
that. No,
okay.
no, she's strong enough. I mean, um, Mr. Arbatini, who was our principal, came to us. Quick story. I was coaching football, basketball, I think girls softball also at the time. And he said, by the way, you're our new cheerleading sponsor. I said, Mr. Arbatini, I'd do anything for you, but no. He said, I'll pay you this amount of money. I said, yes.
Yeah.
And
You could
he
be
said,
bought.
just look, you're at the football field, you're standing on the field, just look over your shoulder, make sure they're behaving themselves. We'll have parents sit with them. In those days, teachers had to do everything. Now
Right,
you can hire people
right,
outside
right,
of
right, right.
the faculty. But in those days, he went through everybody, all the females in the faculty, and nobody would take cheerleading. So he said, you're doing it. I did it for 4 years, and I had no problem with Western Beaver. So,
So at the end with Kimmy,
yeah,
you're saying you're having more fun.
I just was the last one. I just wanted to enjoy it. I think we did.
Now, who did you butt heads with the most?
You mean the girls?
Of the girls.
I think they were. I think it was a good thing, though. I mean, they um,
Like who would be like you'd be at practice and you're taking it super serious,
yeah,
and what would be the first one that may have been a little silly about things that might
yeah,
have
not silly. I don't think they were ever. I ever would accuse them of being silly. I just think it was a matter of doing what they needed to do with someone other than. I mean, other people are going down to. We had girls that were playing that would go down to Chris Everett Academy.
Mhm.
Not Chris Everett, but her brother.
So you're trying to provide a
And
high level.
here I am in Beaver County
Yes, you are trying to provide it.
buying tennis balls and we're competing against people that are coming from
Yeah.
academy. And so and just pushing them and pushing them and pushing them. And we're very similar. And I've seen you on the tennis court as well. And so those mistakes were made. With Kimmy, it just seemed for some reason just was a little bit easier, I thought. And we'd already had two already have their careers finished. And it was really fun. I,
Yeah.
I don't want to take I don't mean I mean and they were just the girls were so respectful to their mother, to Beth, and to me, and it was just a great experience.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting talking about it.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, in thinking about even the girls, like
Mhm.
I always think about, and I go back to this, Nikki paved the way.
Mhm.
Um, let's just face it, like you still had tons of energy with Christy,
Mhm.
and you're going through it.
Mhm.
You had two girls that were different players, but very successful,
Mhm.
and now you're Kimmy.
Mhm.
Like I always wondered, like, did Kimmy have pressure on her being the third one coming up through? Like I wonder if that was tough on her.
I don't know. She handles pressure well. She got out of college. She went with Fox Sports or an internship. They hired her right away. She went around the country for Fox Sports. Was online. I mean, she was on camera. Um, uh, Went to Notre Dame and is one of the athletic directors, and now she works for USTA, which is interesting.
It's incredible. Yeah.
And I'm hanging out with you in the tennis court and people, and she's hanging out with Chris Everett and now Francis Tiafoe is a big uh, contributor because he came from a similar background. His dad, I hope I'm right, I believe his father was a custodian at a tennis facility,
Really?
academy, yes. And this is just pretty much like an Arnold Palmer story where Francis, who is one of the top players in the United States, in the world now, but in the United States, he's one of the top. I think Ben Shelton's one, Francis is two or three. But he reaped the benefits of his dad having that position and being here, very much like Arnold Palmer from Latrobe,
Yes.
where I'm from. And Beth told me not to tell any Arnold Palmer story, so I won't. But Arnold Palmer, whose dad was the head greenskeeper at Lakeshore Country Club and the head pro, and who would say to Arnold when my dad worked there, "You're not a member. Don't act like a member. You're going to reap the benefits someday." The benefits, of course, he reaped by we now drink Arnold Palmer
Yes, we
iced
do.
tea. We love it.
I had one yesterday.
I like it too. And
I actually
and
did have.
one of the greatest golfers coming from his dad cut greens every morning. His whole career, he would cut greens and then he would give lessons. And Francis is that way. So Kimmy works a lot with Francis. She loves working with him. Um, and he came from that kind of background. And they're working. She's working with the USTA with communities that are down and bringing tennis into those communities, which is so exciting. And I think as you look at United States tennis now, many of them are coming from colleges as well,
Really?
like Ben Shelton, all the, you know, that many of them
That's
are
good.
now coming and playing a couple of years of tennis or playing 4 years of tennis. Um, and I think just going into areas um, and providing uh, not only people but facilities and help. So it's not just going to be, it's changed from the 1970s to today. I think tennis could be a whole different thing. And of course, I, in working at Seven Oaks, I always do research on the benefits of tennis, and I like to put it out on the Oak Leaves, our newsletter. And I did follow one, and they did a 10-year study that was done just a couple of years ago, like 2 years ago. And they said the top sports for prolonging life. And number one, you know what I'm going to say, it was tennis. And it
Hmm.
was saying, I think 9.7 years added to your life if you're a regular tennis player. Number two, I think, and this is because we're not used to this in the United States, was badminton. Number three was jogging. Number four, I think, was going to the gym, that kind of thing.
Really?
And it's just so high up there. And then and
So you believe in the sport for your health?
that's right. And I
Okay.
mean, Beth and I did it because we loved. She
Okay.
loves tennis. I love tennis, and our girls just somehow, by the grace of God, were led to that, and it gave them. I mean, Nikki was the head pro at Pittsburgh Golf Club, is now in Houston. Christy's now the head pro at Pittsburgh Golf Club. So they're and Kimmy now left Notre Dame a couple of years ago, and now is with the United States Tennis Association. And
Did Kimmy ever coach?
no, she never coached.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
she was one of the athletic directors at Notre Dame, but she and helped with, I mean,
Yeah.
one of her responsibilities was the tennis and with her husband um, with her husband who played at Louisville.
Yep.
And actually, that's how they met. They were both in the Big East Conference. They met during the tournament. And
He's not a bad player. I have a feeling.
he's okay. I can beat him pretty badly. I can't even return his serves. He's that big lefty kick serve. I hate it. So I can return your serve. I don't think I can return.
Anybody can return my
Yeah,
serve.
I did what to say. I didn't want everybody to hear that. That's it.
So, but two more questions.
Okay.
All right. If someone was to come and take a lesson from you and Nikki and Kimmy that still coaches,
Okay. No.
or I'm sorry, Christy that still
Yeah.
coaches, did they copy you? Do they do their own thing? Do you guys have the same style, or what goes on?
I think it's a very similar style. They're good girls. I don't know why I said this about them up to this point, but they are great girls. And it's fun. Nikki has called me when she was at Pittsburgh Golf Club before
Yeah.
they left for Singapore, then they came back in Miami and then Atlanta and now Houston. But when before they left, she would call me and say, Dad, I'm doing a clinic. We have a bunch of, let's say, a bunch of women coming at a certain time of the day. Are you free? Could you come? And we would teach together.
Oh, that's
really
nice.
cool.
That's really
Now,
nice.
Christy has done that. Christy occasionally will say, Dad, I'm, especially in the winter when I'm not at Seven Oaks, and she'll call and say, can you come and do a clinic with me? And it's fun to do that because she'll do a drill, and then I'll do one of my drills. And then she'll do a drill, and we go back and forth, and we yell the same things to them and make fun of them. And it's just really fun to do that. So I think, and they do send things to me about, here, this is for the team. That thing about the 1%,
Yes.
just to encourage it, say you are in a select group, came from them, and they send things to me about Sinner, who's a player now, one of the top players, and I really like this young man. And the things he says about just competing and enjoying tennis, they keep sending me that kind of thing. Win or lose, I enjoy the fact that God's given me these abilities, and I'm able to do this for my life.
No,
And
I mean you're still and you're still not done with this journey. And like I said,
you know,
we talked about right before this, you had a tough loss in college
yes, man.
yesterday.
Yeah,
Tough one.
let's not talk about it.
We're
Yeah,
not talking about it
yeah,
was a tough one, but the thing is, what's cool about it is it bothered you.
mhm. Yeah, that's true.
That's
So,
actually pretty cool, Barry.
thank you.
That's I don't because if you didn't care,
That's right. That's
it
true.
wouldn't bother you.
Good
So
point.
that's cool.
It's
Okay, so
just like the
that's
team.
good. So
Yeah.
don't
Okay.
don't become you
Okay.
can be too chill.
Okay.
I don't think that's going to happen to you.
Okay. No.
Okay, I don't think it's going to
I
happen to
think
you.
we're made similarly. We're not going to chill. Mm.
So the last question I
Okay.
have, and we're going to divert from the girls just a little bit. Just what do you think about pickleball, real quick?
Okay. I like pickleball. I hear, and again, the thing about pickleball, I think it wasn't when this study was done for 10 years. I don't think pickleball had hit its peak at that point. So it
Okay,
wasn't even mentioned on that. If they were to do another 10-year study right now, I think probably pickleball would be up there. The thing that we have to be careful about pickleball are the injuries. Of course, we had a number of injuries even to Seven Oaks this past
that
year.
blows my mind. That's what
You
that's
know,
like. What kind of
well, I had one person show up and within 30 seconds had broken her hand. Um, and we talked about it one day. We were talking about it, and then Beth and I went out to play. This was a few months ago. Beth fell playing tennis and broke her thumb. So it's a matter of, I mean, you are moving, you are going quickly, you can trip. Um, I think sometimes if we haven't played that many sports, but we've played basketball 30 years ago, we think we can do some of those things right away.
right?
And so I kind of practice falling. Um, uh, and uh, Beth has done that too, and she's done a good job when she
Stop,
fell at
drop, and
Disney.
roll.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Drop and roll. But a lot of us we don't do that, and I can think of some people even in Seven Oaks that I watched. I think one young lady was trying to do a tweener and fail and tried to catch herself, broke her arm,
Okay.
and that happens in any sport, but especially racket sports. Um, uh, I saw one guy last year.
What are you doing? These people are trying that hard out there.
Yeah,
What are you doing?
but we were okay at Seven Oaks. We were pretty good. We had a
Yeah,
number of injuries, but when I read about some of the other clubs that are going
I've
through it
heard
across the United
it
States,
blows my mind.
yeah. So that's the negative part in that there are injuries.
Okay.
Fortunately, most of them are broken finger, broken thumb,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Okay, well, we can take that. You can learn to play left-handed if you're righty. But the benefits of it, I think so. Not only the exercise, but the social aspect, seeing couples together, seeing families
It's
together.
incredible how many people are playing.
Yeah, and you don't sometimes if you get a player like yourself with someone who's a new tennis player, and you get another person, good player, with another player that's not so good, tennis maybe isn't that much fun. But for some reason, pickleball works. It's
It
a
does.
different kind of sport because
It
it's more
is.
like ping pong. It's more just react. I don't hear anybody worrying about their grip like you do in tennis. They just play.
Well, you know what? I think, and somebody summed it up for me. You have to, like I said earlier, you have to train to play tennis.
Yeah,
Pickleball, you could take four people and they could be playing in an hour.
that's right. That's right. Yeah.
So
The scoring is the tough part. Just
the
learning
scoring
the
is,
scoring.
you know what?
Yeah,
It's
the
about as
rules.
stupid as tennis. I mean, honestly,
And the kitchen, how
we can't go 1, 2, 3, 4.
how many times the first couple times I played, I
Why
went
would
into
they
that
call it the
kitchen and
kitchen?
just smacked that baby.
Yeah.
But I last year we have a thing at Seven Oaks. Beth and I, um, you were the head pro there, and then you had to leave for other business things and work, and you called me, and I went in 26 years ago. Can you believe it's been
Wow.
26 years?
Wow.
And 26 years ago, but pickleball was this past year was the first time we've had it at Seven Oaks on our new beautiful courts. And one day on Wednesdays we have WOW, which is Women on Wednesday. Actually, it's
Yes.
Wild Women on Wednesday, and at 6:30, and they come, and we would do the 10 hard courts where we have pickleball. You can get 4 courts on the 2 hard courts, and then we have tennis over here. So we had 10 or 12 women playing tennis over here, and I was feeding and doing that. And then we had pickleball which pretty much takes care of themselves. People that know what they're doing can just kind of go, okay, you can
Yeah.
pour her up, go.
Yeah.
And they've been wonderful about it. We have a group that
Yeah.
is just great. And some of them go away for the winter to Florida and play all winter, like
Yes.
Naples, that kind
Yeah.
of thing, which is
Yeah.
the kind of, I think they play the U.S. Open there.
They do. I've played there, played it. My father lives there, and
Oh,
I've
okay.
played at that facility. And 2 years ago, I was
Beautiful.
there the week before, and literally you show up, they have 12 courts over here of three beginners. Then they have another 12 courts over here for intermediates. And this is every single morning, and it costs you $5, and
Wow.
you pay, and you just put your name on the rotation, but you can get good pickleball
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah. Yeah. Great pickleball. Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
pickleball down
Yeah.
there.
But I can remember we had one night, um, and we had, it must have been close to 30 women at pickleball. It was a beautiful night. And the only thing that beats pickleball, and I can remember we started at 6:30 and it was maybe 7:58 and I ran over. And of course, they're playing pickleball and then they take a break and they're talking and people are having a great time. And I went over and said, ladies, I don't want you to leave, but I want to remind you at 7:58 at 8 o'clock, bingo starts down at the new pools. Well, you would have thought I said there was free food, free money. They grabbed stuff. So the only thing that I think up at the up at the pools and tennis court, the only thing that's beating pickleball is bingo, and I love it too. So don't make fun of
It's
people.
pole bingo.
No, no, it's down at the pool.
Oh,
It's down
okay.
at the pool.
Okay.
So they scoot down from the tennis court, go
Okay.
open the gate right there, go into the adult pool area, which is beautiful, with the running water into the heated pool, and in that restaurant bar area,
And they play bingo.
open air. I got to be a caller one
You
time.
were a caller?
Oh yeah, I was really good at it. Really.
I went to Catholic high school, so
You
bingo.
know
Oh,
bingo. Yeah.
that was the best way to make money as a kid. I was the caller, and I'd serve
Oh my
the people. I
goodness.
loved it.
Yeah, and they have
I'd have
great.
ink all over me by the end of the night.
Well, yeah, so I lost all my pickleball players to bingo. Yeah, but I tell you, I've had more calls. You know, we're getting we have also have clay courts at
Yes.
Seven Oaks, which and we love, and they have to be resurfaced every year and lines put on vinyl lines and they put the nails in, you know, and it's beautiful. And I have to roll them like 10 times and then they're ready. They're watered from below now rather than the
Yes.
old fashioned
Yes. That's
above.
really neat.
But I have had more calls this winter and this month for pickleball
Yeah.
than tennis.
So you're embracing pickleball then,
Yeah. Oh yeah,
definitely.
we have to. I mean, I want to. I just see the benefits. Not only the exercise and seeing people, I saw them all winter. They'd be walking inside the Brady's Run in the circle outside the courts and then playing pickleball. And the price again for $5, for a couple bucks they're playing, or you can play it like they have the outdoor courts at Brady's Run
Yeah, they do.
where the old bubble used to be.
Yeah.
They have the courts there and they're full. You have a nice day and they're full.
I don't. I wish I know I tried to go to the school district in Beaver when they were resurfacing the courts and
Mm.
trying to convince them to use one of the courts for
Yeah,
pickleball.
yeah,
And
yeah,
they unfortunately don't see it that way.
yeah.
And I think it's a mistake. I know that there's plans to put pickleball into that park eventually, but I was hoping the school was going to be able to throw a bone
Yeah,
to the borough
yeah.
because it is amazing. And I'm still pickleball was in its infancy. If you've already watched in the last year,
Mhm,
people playing it different already.
mhm,
There's different strategies. It's like,
mhm.
we saw tennis evolve. Even
Yeah,
look at tennis compare. I know from tennis from when I started playing to what they do now.
yeah,
It's different.
yeah.
And you can watch people and say, I know what era you learned to play tennis and I knew when you learned to play
Well,
tennis.
it's interesting you say that because when we were in Singapore with Nikki one time and went to a tournament and Chris Everett was speaking and someone said to her, and a lot of us even older, I mean, we remember Chris Everett, Martina Navratilova, and that could Billie
Yeah.
Jean King. And they said, Chris, they had a question and answer time. They said, where would you be right now in the world rankings if you were to play? And she said, I couldn't do it now. And they said, no, no, if you had the right racket and the right training. And she said, no, you don't understand. These girls are so athletic. This was a very humble answer. She was number one in the world. I mean, she had
It's
won
true though.
every tournament.
It's
And he
true.
just said, you don't understand. I could not compete right
It's
now. With
true.
everything that could, if it was given to me, I'm not the athlete that these people are. They're coming in. right now. It's interesting. When Brady's Run opened there, where the old bubble was, now we
Hmm.
have 3 tennis courts and then 3 pickle
Yeah.
on where the fourth court was. And they had a grand opening about a year or two ago. And they invited some high school coaches and they invited me and they introduced us as coaches in the area. And we got to go out with the commissioners and cut the ribbon.
Yeah.
And I think Tony, the director over there, said, okay, it's time to play now. The courts are officially open. Anybody who wants to go play tennis, go ahead and go, run. Whoever gets there first can have them. Pickleball, same thing. And I saw 4 ladies run out on court 1 in tennis, 2 guys on court 3, nobody in the middle, and about 35 people ran to pickle, like pushing each other through the gate to be the first ones to hit a ball. Pickleball court.
Yeah.
I went, oh my goodness, we have to
Yeah, no,
we
no,
have to
no. I
catch up.
mean,
Yeah.
I know. I wish the school district would have understood that, this it would be good for them. And I still think that there's a way that we might be able to use pickleball for some sort of training for tennis too.
Mhm.
I think we're gonna start seeing maybe when are we gonna start seeing pickleballers come over to play tennis? I
Mhm.
think it's gonna
Oh, I
happen.
think so too.
I think and so what are they going to bring in that they've picked up? Because you can always see right away when I go play pickleball,
Yeah.
people go, "You used to play tennis."
Yeah.
Is it that obvious? Like,
Yeah.
so, so I do think it's a great thing. I'm glad you're embracing it.
Mhm.
I am.
Mhm.
Um,
I
I
don't mind. Here's what some people in tennis don't like. Some people don't like the sound of the
I
ball.
know I've heard
So
that.
you and I are going to come up with a new sounding ball that we're going to be millionaires.
No, did you see McEnroe has a paddle?
That takes the
Yes,
sound away.
it's called the Owl or something. Him and Drew Brees have a paddle that muffles
Oh,
the
nice,
sound a little
nice.
bit.
I was at a tennis club one time, and I said, "Oh, I like that you have your tennis courts, and then you have your separate pickleball courts." I said, "I noticed there's locks on." He said, "The neighbors, the people who live there, complain, and we
That's
have
what I
to
heard.
lock them." Yeah, but they and some people who are tennis players don't like the pickleball lines on there. For some reason, they do not bother me.
Yeah, they don't
We
bother me
have at
either.
Seven Oaks, so our 2 hard courts,
Yeah,
and we have nice nets that we wheel out, which and then put the locks
yeah.
on, and we can play 4 courts at a time. Which in many evenings those are full. Um,
There are temporary lines even too that
yeah,
could be used
yeah,
that they could use on courts that you could have them down for a part of a season and pull them
yeah,
back up.
and
So there are
yeah,
solutions. Like
and you're seeing them in backyards too, and
you are seeing
and
them in backyards.
driveways, and even inside. I
I
noticed
know
one.
you are.
I watched. There was a program on our TV that I was just glancing, going through, and all of a sudden they were looking at a house. Are we going to pick this house, or that house? And the one had the indoor pickle. They're going to go for pickle.
It's
Yeah,
pretty neat. It is neat. It
yeah,
is
yeah.
neat. Well, Barry, thank you for coming and talking.
Thank you.
Be, before we leave, tell us some events that people can come to Seven Oaks.
Okay. Well, we have for those who are members, and I know they're taking new members right now. The pool's going to open Memorial Day. We opened late last year because of construction things, but it's going to be on time this year. It's going to be a grand opening,
Great.
and it's going to be the fireworks and everything. We have if you haven't been to it, it's worth driving through and just taking a look. It's the resort style pool. I think there's probably 5 separate pools with all kind of slides, things for kids. I mentioned the adult pool earlier, and then right above that are tennis courts, and they are beautiful. They have the pro shop in the middle. 2 hard courts can become pickle. The 2 clay courts, they're called hard true, which are the material supposed to be delivered today, in fact.
Yay.
And hopefully, they said the first week of May, if it doesn't rain everywhere, they'll be here to install
Great.
that. Um, and so our programs, we have programs for kids, we have programs for adults, we have the weekly programs, we have Tuesday, we've had it for years called mixed doubles. We meet at 6:30, and again that is turned into now we only used to have 2 courts, now we have 4. So tennis on the clay, pickleball there on the
Oh,
hard courts
some nights you
we
have events that
every
people are
night.
doing both.
Yeah, unless it's
Oh,
a
that's great.
totally a tennis
Okay, great.
program for like a
Okay.
tournament. And then same thing with WoW. WoW used to be just tennis. Now it's tennis and pickle. And in
Okay.
fact, like I said, what we've been getting are 10 or 12 people for tennis. Some go back and forth. Some go over and play pickleball for a while and then grab their tennis rackets, which is kind of fun because they get to see
Yeah.
a different group as well. We've had a lot of new people coming. We had a group last year that kind of clinged to each other and learned to play both sports, which was really fun.
That's fun.
We have tremendous members who help us um, just teaching people, and we have all papers available to give. And we've kind of just studied it and said, okay, these are the 15 things you need to know about pickleball.
That's good.
Number one, most important thing, of course, is a good outfit. You got to get the proper outfit. Go online and buy the best. It's all on sale right now. Prince pickleball shoes, that kind of thing. The right shoe. I tell kids that. The most important thing about tennis, you need a new racket, new outfits.
Parents must love it.
Parents love that. But of course, we have our programs all starting in June for kids.
Okay.
And then we have the Tuesday night program, the Wednesday night program. About every 2 weeks, we have a party. For instance, when it's Wimbledon, we have the Woody weekend where some you don't have to, but some people you wear the old-fashioned outfits. We had Phil Williams come last year. I think it's Andre Agassi last year. The year before, he bought the wig for McEnroe.
He looked great.
Oh my goodness! And he acted like him. Like,
yes.
You cannot be serious. He was yelling, that kind of thing. And we have a Woody weekend where we use wooden rackets for the whole weekend. Awesome. With party on Friday night. So all kind of things. But you can just give me a call if they're especially new members.
Yeah, no,
stop in.
It sounds like Seven Oaks is the place to be for tennis.
It's a great place.
We need to thank Chris Juba and his father George, because without them, this wouldn't happen.
You know, they really. There's no place like it around. I can't.
No, there is
anything like it.
There's
fantastic
for Beaver County. It's really
amazing.
Nice.
It's amazing.
It's really nice.
You can't pass on it.
Well, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Talk soon.